All right, today I'm going to be talking about something big that is going on in the real estate industry. And this is something that's kind of shifting the foundations of how the real estate industry works. So you may have seen some news headlines pop up here recently talking about gone are the days of 6% commissions, gone are the days of this or that, real estate agents are doomed, and so forth. And so I just kind of wanted to get on here and help answer a couple questions, a couple big topics that are going on right now with the industry. So a few months back, there was a case called the Sister Burnett, and this case was claiming that real estate agents have fixed commissions and kept them at 6% for years, saying that they're not negotiable. There was no way around it, and forcing sellers to pay for both a seller agent and a buyer agent. And so what this is essentially, I think there's a lot of clarity and lack of maybe just understanding of how the real estate industry works. Commissions were always negotiable, and for those who were complaining that commissions weren't negotiable, they've always been negotiable. But I don't think the NAR or realtors are going to go out and say, "Oh yeah, we charge 6% or 5%. By the way, hint hint, wink wink, we're negotiable. So feel free to talk us down." I don't think that was ever going to happen. So the consumers just weren't aware that commissions have always been flexible. Commissions have always been negotiable. Now, whether or not you get the agent that you really want with the commission that you're willing to pay is another story. And so, anyways, I think there's a lot of confusion and disclarity there. So, anyways, there's three big changes that are coming out of this proposed settlement, and the big settlement here that took place with NAR. So, three kind of myths too. So the first one. Co-broke compensation is not going away, but co-broke compensation is being removed from the MLS. So the MLS is the data platform that all the big companies feed from. So like Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, Redfin, so forth. All the IDX feeds, that's what those are called, feed from the MLS. The MLS can no longer state that the seller is willing to pay a buyer broker compensation. Does not mean that the buyer broker compensation is going away. I think the conversation has become more and more prevalent to where I think you're going to have more sellers try to offer no buyer agent compensation. However, I don't think it's actually going to go away. I've been fortunate enough to have this conversation numerous times at the dinner table with several sellers here over the past month and a half. And, out of the 8 listings that I've been fortunate to sign on, 6 of them are offering just status quo, normal. They see the value in the buyer agent, and 2 of them are willing to kind of test the water, see what happens. And so it's very interesting. So I think you're going to get some people who want to test it out, see how it goes, and go from there. Now, I won't talk about the pros and cons about that right now. We'll get too long in the video. But anyways, so the co-broke commission advertisement is moving off of the MLS. Not disappearing, just won't be publicly advertised through the MLS. All right, number 2. This is another big one. Buyer agents must have a signed buyer broker agreement prior to showing a house. And what this does, I think, is it's going to make agents prove their worth. What a buyer broker agreement states is, hey, I'm a buyer agent. I'm going to work for you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I'm going to go ahead and be compensated X amount of dollars. But because I'm being compensated X amount of dollars, either from you or a seller at the time of closing, I'm providing all these lists of services. Again, I'm not going to go into the full great detail, but this has to be signed in order for somebody to show a property to a buyer. And I think what that's going to force people to do is say, hey, are we really wanting to go show this property with an agent, or let's go ahead and have a consultation with this agent before we sign off on this agreement? And I think this is great for consumers. This is something that will have consumers really looking at what their agent does, and do I really want to work with that particular agent? I think this is also going to hurt Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, any of these platforms that take the consumer's contact information and sell it off to the highest bidder. So if you didn't know, what Zillow does is they essentially have contracts with local agents. Agents will pay them X amount of dollars, typically in the thousands, in order to receive your contact information whenever they hit contact agent. So when you hit contact agent thinking that you're contacting the listing agent, you're not. You're just you're sending your information off to another agent who is the highest bidder to receive your contact information. That's another topic. I can't stand that happens, but it's another topic. So anyways, what I think it will hurt businesses like those, like Zillow and Realtor.com. I think you're going to see them shift their business model slightly because of this. Now, the third biggest thing that I think is going to change out of this settlement is the current paperwork we have right now will have to be shifted around slightly, because the current paperwork we have right now details a lot of what well, there's paragraphs in it that detail where we are advertising the commission and what we are doing with the property on the MLS. So I think that will have to be rewritten. And I think because of the changes that are coming with the buyer broker agreement, I think those are going to have to be rewritten as well. Now, what will this do to the industry? I'm not 100% sure. But like I said, I think buyer agents will have to prove their worth more so than they ever have. I think consumers are going to benefit out of this because of agents having to prove themselves. And I think you're going to see a lot of part-time agents or even just weekend hero agents probably go by the wayside because of some of those changes in the buyer broker agreements and consultations that'll probably have to take place in order for you to get that signed agreement. Now, personally, I would love to see a few other changes be made just for full transparency and what I think our consumers need in this industry. So number one, I would love for our listing agents to be allowed to put their own contact information right at the end or maybe at the very beginning of a property description. And this would be something that's syndicated to all platforms. Because of the lack of clarity of who the listing agent is, because of the major players in the real estate world like Zillow, very often it's hidden at the bottom. It is you're not really sure who it is. It's hard to find. I would love for us just to be able to put our phone number right there so our consumers are having full transparency on who they're contacting. And then two, I would like to see platforms like ZillowRealtor.com and Trulia ban selling your contact information off to somebody else unless you specifically request to not contact the listing agent. I think there should be like a little wall that pops up. Contact agent, would you like to contact listing agent or a buyer agent? And then go from there. I think that would be something that would be really helpful for our consumers. Anyways, I know this has been a little bit of a longer video. I would love to hear more about your thoughts on it. Please comment below what you think about the proposed changes.